Hey, what's up, everyone? It's me, Matt from Diazable, coming at you with another album review. And today we're going back to Japan to check out the band Decasion with the album Instilling the Decayed Obsession. A little background on this band is they are from Nagoya, Japan, and they've been a band since about 2020, 2019, I think. And this album came out in 2022, and they play like a death metal, hardcore infusion style of music. And I checked them out because I was going to the Blood Axe Fest 2023, and they were the opening act. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see them play live. I got some see some videos of them play, but yeah, I listened to their album. I got to listen to them outside the venue. So yeah, I'm gonna dissect and tell you about this album, see what you feel about it. So yeah, Wicked Monarchism. I think I said that right. Hella down to guitars. One of the tightest and grooviest openings I've heard in a while. So impressive there. Snappy drum. It's very poppy. The snare drum is really, really popping. Then the vocalist has some deep growls and some high growls as well. Typical death metal vocals. Then there's some sludgy guitars and some double kicks that hit this song and like in the middle part of the song. Then it picks up into like a chuggy tempo with the guitars and whatnot. Overall, it's a very up and down, fast paced and intense song. Pretty standard metal song, I think. Nothing too flashy, nothing too bad. It reminds me of a less inspiring Black Dahlia Murder.
Even when you're gone, I'll tell them my religion's you. When punctures
Eternal Fears. The song opens up with some like hardcore style drumming, so they incorporate that hardcore style here. There's a nice two-step with the rhythm and everything as the song progresses, which is pretty cool. Then they have some blast beats that sound, alright, they ain't that bad. Heavy riffs in the middle of the song, and overall simple death metal elements with some hardcore parts sprinkled in. I feel is how this song plays out. The breakdown is a bit boring, but the drums on the breakdown sound like they're hitting a keg, so it adds some nice texture to the song and to the breakdown. So here's a little clip of Eternal Fears. Oh, maybe it's not as good as I thought it was when I first heard it. Oof. Blasphemy. I think I said that wrong, but whatever. The song starts off very heavy, like a death metal song, with the guitars and drums just coming in really hard. Then they switch it up and go into like a standard two-step rhythm with a 1-2 1-2 in terms of the drum patterns. Sounds tight, but a little bland. Then they speed it up a bit, and then they slow it down, so they go back and forth a lot with that fast and slow playing. Very simple formula here. Heavy chugs during the breakdown. The drums are being played a kind of weird beat, like during like the breakdown and everything, and just overall through the song, it just sounds a bit weird at times. Then they go back to a two-step. They really do two-stepping parts really well here. Like that's probably like one of the best things I've noticed so far. Just another breakdown, just another okay breakdown. Yeah. And the tightness is really good here on this band, but there aren't really amazing songs. Playing the Victim. The opening of this song reminds me of the Black Dahlia Murder again, so interesting there. The guitars, I guess the speed of the guitar is pretty good and everything with how it flows. And some tight playing with the guitars and the drums and the bass here. They really come together here nicely, but I'm very concerned if they can hold that grooveness and tightness because they tend to lose it a little bit, it feels like. The vocals feel a little bit more full and fleshed out here. They sound really healthy. Then there's like a metal like guitar solo that's all right. Heavy chugs towards the end, the second half of the song and whatnot. And I started to notice that all the breakdowns kind of sound the same. Laugh at Your Death. Very tight from the beginning of this song with the riffs and the drumming and the bass. Like they really lock it in here compared to the early songs. I will say they perfected the sound of the feel and the sound of a two-step because every part of they do like a two-step part in their songs. It sounds really good. Um, I will say the breakdown is a bit refreshing here because it like uses more of the bass and whatnot, and they build up to it a lot more. So it's a bit more interesting than the previous songs and whatnot. So here's a little clip of Laugh at Your Death. Snare sounds good. Red Rum, slow to a fast build-up starts the song off. The miking of the drums sound off at the beginning of the song. They sound really bad. Riffs, pretty standard. They pick up the tempo later in the song, so that's nice. And there's some nice vocal fries here to switch the sound up, so that's really interesting and nice. The songs are really short, but also they feel like it's like a chore. They feel like a slog. They're really hard to get through because I'm only on the 6th track, and I remember like, oh, this is really tough to get through. I will say there's some other like influences here. I get some Pantera and some Slipknot vibes a bit here, so that's interesting in terms of like the grooviness. Hydrostama, I think I said that right. A lot of the songs are kind of the same here. They all just sound like okay until you get to the two-step part, which they build up to, which is always tight and really nice. All the other parts of their songs, especially this one, it just sounds bland until you get to the two-step, which sounds really nice. There's a nice build-up before the breakdown, and the breakdown here, surprisingly, is pretty groovy. The song has a really good like vibe to it. Like they're really trying to show how good they can play here because they sound really, really tight here. So good song. Common Suffering. The vocals change here a little bit, so it adds some nice variety to the songs, which is nice. But I will say a lot of their songs sound the same, and especially this one, it sounds very basic death metal and just kind of bland. But I will say the one thing that's kind of redeeming about this song is the breakdown. It's pretty interesting. And as I listen to this album, as more and more I understand this band, there's always like one thing in the song that's like, oh, pretty good. But then the rest of the song is kind of mid or bad. So it's really hard to gauge this band because they usually have one saving grace per song, but most of the songs. Oh, and here's a clip of Common Suffering. Like it's heavy, but it's just Hellish Sight. Long static clip to open this song out, and then goes into some sharp playing and whatnot. Very, very metalcore, less death metal, less hardcore, just really that fusion of metalcore here. Sounds really good. The scaling from the guitars on this song is really nice and very refreshing, so it's good to hear that. Again, two steps, sick, heavy, good, nothing wrong with it. They do them well. I would say overall, this might be the most interesting and diverse song they have on this album. It's a little messy at times, but it's definitely the most interesting and most fun song. So yeah. The Chainsaw Man. Overall, I've noticed that I think a lot of their song structures are pretty simple and kind of basic and not the most elaborate, but it sounds like they can play well together in terms of like their two steps and some of their breakdowns. They do well. Like I think they can play well together, but I don't know if they can make songs that are good, if that makes sense. I would say this song reminds me a bit of Knock Loose. There's some Knock Loose inspiration here with the crunchy guitars. Very moshy song with the breakdown. And yeah, this just okay song to play the album out on. So this is my review of the new album from Decasion, Illusions of Decayed Obsession. They have a really weird name title for this album. I guess overall I can say it's decent, but I can't say that with a smile on my face. Like I think sonically, like I think they play well together. I said that before. Like they know each other well and they can play well in certain parts, like the two steps, the breakdowns, like some moments here and there where they sound really good, but for the most part, they sound really bland or uninspiring. Like the songs are just very sub and okay at best. Like the vocals, They are pretty consistent. Some changes here with vocal fries and doing some low growls, but overall he sounds like old guy metal, like an old guy doing like heavy metal, and it kind of sounds okay. Like everything has a good point in this album, and everything has a bad point. There's nothing like one way or the other. Like the guitar riffs are pretty good and everything, but they can be kind of bland. Bass, um, when it can be heard, is pretty nice with the other band members playing well. But when it can't be heard, it's just kind of like, eh. The drums, the drum fills are really nice, and they sound really good. Snare sounds really good and everything, but sometimes it just sounds uninspiring and very simple. So there's not much here. It's pretty standard death metal stuff, I think. Nothing, it's definitely nothing too awe-inspiring. It's just, eh. Um, yeah, like I don't, the production's kind of okay. Very mixed because there wasn't a single song where I didn't find something wrong or like just there was always something that was making me pull back and not fully enjoy the song all the way. So, uh, this album from Decasion is a soft to okay 6.5 out of 10. Not too sure what their future is gonna go because I don't know. I feel like they play well together, but I think they just need to make some more interesting songs because they just sound a bit bland. But yeah, links down below. Check them out. Japan scene is pretty interesting. A lot of good metal, hardcore bands out there. So check them out and check out this video that might be popping up over here. I'm Matt. Thanks for coming on by, and I will see you later.